Hey, this is Steve Goodner, and this is another video in the Small Business Growth Lab. Today, I want to focus on the title of this video first, which is EI plus AI equal ROI. So what does all that mean? Emotional intelligence plus artificial intelligence equals return on investment. If small businesses want to be successful in 2026, there has got to be a mix of the relational and the technology. And you can't leave one of those out, or you won't have your optimal success. So let me break this down for you. Again, these are unscripted. I've got a couple of bullet points just to remind me of what I want to share with you today, because I think this is very important. We're closing out 2025. We're opening up 2026 in about a month. What do we do about that? How do we prepare ourselves now? How do we move forward now so that we can get a fast start in 2026 as small business owners or people who work on a small business team? The first thing to understand is artificial intelligence is great. There's a lot of promise there. I use a lot of those tools myself. They're incredibly helpful. I shared with somebody today on Alignable, which is a small business networking platform. And you can see my link in this video if you want to check out my profile on Alignable and check out what Alignable is all about. I was sharing with somebody, artificial intelligence has helped me take, for instance, one part of my business from spending 8 hours a week to 2 hours a week. Well, that freed up 6 hours a week. And in 6 hours a week, I can get on what's called a Smart Connect on Alignable, and I can meet up to 7 people an hour. That means about 42 people. Yes, I did the math ahead of time. So that means about 42 people that I can meet in a week that I could not have met before because I was busy spending 8 hours on a task that I can now only spend 2 hours on because of the tools of artificial intelligence. So the key to artificial intelligence is, number one, it can make mistakes. Number two, train it. If you've got writing, if you've got documents you've written, emails, whatever, things that you can train the AI tool to help it just understand you better and speak like you speak and understand what's important to you. But above and beyond that, it's very important that we apply emotional intelligence. That's the key to using artificial intelligence wisely instead of blindly. So if you go on LinkedIn lately or some other places, I'm sure Facebook is probably the same, you see all these posts and they look really good and they sound really good. But all of a sudden you look at those and go, man, those are very similar. And what it is people going on artificial intelligence tools, create an article or create a post for me about this, and then copy and paste. Well, okay, there may be some value in that, and there probably is. But what about the wisdom, the personal experience, knowledge, expertise that you need to embed in your articles, in your posts, in those things? So using emotional intelligence helps us to better understand where other people are and how we're showing up for other people. That's self-awareness, one of the 5 major competencies of emotional intelligence, so that when we do use AI, we use it wisely. We think about how it's going to impact other people. We think about how it represents us. So think of it as a tool, but a tool that should be used in a way that saves you time so that you can spend quality time on other things like the connections and interactions that are so important to a small business. So don't just use AI blindly, but definitely use it, but use it through the filter of emotional intelligence. Here's another thing that I know. 70 to 90% of leadership success is based in emotional intelligence. So even if you're a solopreneur, you don't have any employees, it's just you, the reality is you're still a leader. If you're selling to someone, you're leading them to your solution. If you're talking to someone that is helping you build your business, like me, that's what I do. I help small businesses grow their business. And if you're doing that, then you're also leading. So emotionally intelligent small business owners, they make better technology decisions. So don't just get sucked in by every new tool that comes along. Think about, how is this going to impact my business model, my approach to the marketplace, how I can make a difference in what I want to do. So work on your emotional intelligence skills. I have a couple of services I've listed on Alignable that speak directly to that. And if you want to go check out my profile, do it. I'm not here to sell you today. I'm here to show you what I believe is critically important. And that is, artificial intelligence is a technology to be leveraged as a tool through the filter of emotional intelligence. That means our skills in both of those have to increase. We have to get better at using the artificial intelligence and the different tools, but we also have to get better in our emotional intelligence skills. We have to enhance those, because that combination is incredibly powerful. The neuroscience behind how emotions shape our thinking, our problem solving, and our risk taking is so critical to the success of a small business owner. So our brains process emotionally first and then logically. And guess what happens if you get stuck in a cycle of emotions? It's very difficult to process logically. Have you ever said to yourself or heard someone say, hold on, I can't think straight, or I can't do that right now. I need to process. What's happening is that individual, maybe you, is stuck in an emotional cycle that needs to be resolved before they can start to think more logically. Make sense? I think we've all been there when things have hit us, surprises, disappointments, whatever it happens to be. As I've described it in a previous video, we go along in our normal day and things are good and they're okay. And then we get a disappointment or a surprise and we drop down into this valley of despair, anxiety, frustration, anger, all of those kinds of feelings, betrayal maybe, right? And you're in this valley of despair, and eventually you'll accept it and you'll move forward so you can have some hope and get back to a productive place. The critical key here is, how long do you stay in the valley of despair? So that's where your emotional intelligence skills are so important, because you're not going to be able to do critical thinking, strategic thinking, problem solving, risk mitigation. You're not going to be able to do a lot of those higher cognitive functions that happens in the prefrontal cortex if you are not in a good place emotionally. You just won't make your best decisions. You won't be able to solve problems as easily or as quickly. So I want you to think about AI tools that improve productivity when paired with strong people skills. Okay, so the whole point of AI tools is to impact some part of your business model or yourself. Okay. So is it doing it effectively? Is it helping you? Or is it just a new blinky shiny? And I have to be really careful about blinky shinies because I love them. New, different, yay, let's try that out. I am an early adopter of technology, believe it or not, which proves the old saying, you can teach an old dog new tricks. But the key here is think it through. What kind of impact is it going to have? Is it going to add real value to what you're bringing to the marketplace? Or is it just fun and something to enjoy? Now, if you still want to do it because it's just fun and something you want to enjoy, that's entirely up to you. But from a business growth perspective, where we're trying to practice essentialism and focus so that we can get our highest levels of success, productivity, growth, increased revenue, and all of that, everything should bring value, real value. If it doesn't, think about that. Is it just an expense? Is it taking away time from things you could be doing? So let's talk about why emotional intelligence is so important here. In the last 3 months, I have talked to over 800 small business owners through these Smart Connects on Alignable. And then a lot of those people I follow up with in a 30-minute one-on-one and just talk to them about their situation. Here's what I find. There is a preponderance of fear, anxiety, stress, feeling overwhelmed, burnout, lack of energy, lack of motivation. And it isn't because people are not smart. They're smart enough, they're talented enough, they're experienced enough. But there's so much coming at a small business owner. There is so much noise out there. You need to do this, you need to do this, you need to do this all the time. And it just bombards us every day. Well, the problem with that is every one of those instances is going to trigger an emotion of some kind. If we don't have strong emotional intelligence skills, we can get distracted very easily. Oh, I got to do a random act of marketing, which is, I did that for years. I did random acts of marketing thinking, maybe if I shoot something out, it'll be good. That's not a plan. That's a wish. And so that's just one example. There are many different examples. So I want you to think about how important it is to navigate your own emotions, repurpose those for a more strategic outcome, but also navigate the emotions of other people because they're going to have their own emotions. Here's a secret I'll share with you, and it's one of my services. Actually, it's in several of my services I provide. If you can understand the emotional drivers of the other person that you are talking to and connecting with, you can lead them and or sell to them much more effectively, because 70 to 95% of buying decisions, or just decisions, are made on emotion. And then we rationalize with logic. So reducing those counterproductive emotions, fear, anxiety, overwhelmed, stress, burnout, all of that is critical. And guess what? If you do that, you're going to be better at using the AI tools. And then I'll kind of finish up with this. A couple of real examples of how emotional intelligence and artificial intelligence dramatically increase return on investment in small businesses. I was talking to someone recently. He's had a small business, consulting business for a long time, working with corporations. And he's kind of burned out and he's frustrated, and he got engaged with me in one of my services, the Small Business Growth Accelerator, small business, how to build the right model or revitalize the model you have, and then figure out what are the steps you need to take and all of that. I am so excited for him because, and I'm careful not to use names because I do keep confidentiality with the people I coach. Just in the short time, a couple of months that we've been working together, he has more than doubled the number of bookings and the revenue that will be coming in. And it just keeps going up. And the last time I talked to him, which was yesterday, by the way, in one of his situations where he had booked 3 days of business, I was able to show him how that 3 days of business through emotional intelligence and artificial intelligence could become 30 days of business, a 10x increase because of the opportunities embedded there. But sometimes we're so overwhelmed and we so want to get this thing right here that we don't see the bigger picture and the greater opportunities. And that's part of what I want to help everybody with is, what are your opportunities and how can we expand on those? That's one example of how building emotional intelligence skills helped him better navigate the emotional cycles and patterns that he had and do some habit transformation so that he could get to a better place here, so that he could get to a better place in his business. I hope that helps. I think it's so very important that you at least consider how emotional intelligence plus artificial intelligence can make a huge difference in your return on investment and getting a fast start to 2026.